Hey, this is Terry Bean coming at you, not quite live, with another fun, exciting episode of Business Growth Time. With me, as always, is Janet E. Johnson, where today the E stands for entanglement. Any idea?
Nobody knows why we're cracking up, but we've spent an hour dealing with trying technology. Technology can be an entanglement. There you go.
It absolutely was. So we were going to be live. We're still live, like alive. We're just less live right now.
Really odd. Yeah. So we learned that Terry's headset was busted.
Yep, that was news.
That took a while to figure out. And then in the end, I have an issue with my computer that potentially he only can come through the speakers, so it can create an echo, and it was too echoey in the live room. So we decided to go back to the Zoom. So here we are, and hopefully it sounds good in the podcast where you're listening in your ears.
That's right. That's right. So
we made it. And then I told Terry he looked a little blurry. If you're listening, you're
missing out.
You're missing out, but yeah, he looked a little blurry, and
I have been working out more. I think that must be it, right? It's like the yoga, man. It's so I left the 30-day intro to yoga challenge, right, which was smooth and easy and nice and maybe 14 minutes at a time longest. I don't even think I broke a sweat, right? It was good. It was opening.
I've been doing a little bit of it. Yeah, I did a little bit. I have a yoga app I've been doing.
Okay.
I can only and that's about 5 minutes to 7 minutes. That's all I can handle. I get so bored with it.
This one today was called Sweaty Splits. So
you can do the splits?
No, not yet.
Oh.
The whole series is 9 days to being able to do the splits, right? That was the title. Now, what in the hell compelled me to say, oh yeah, I just finished my first 30 days. I think I'm ready for the splits. Let's go. But so today was day 7.
That's a challenge.
And I'll tell you what, these are all 25, 30-minute sessions. And it was the, upward dog and the downward dog and the push and the plank and the, step your leg through and the warrior. And it was all super fast, man. I was like, I'm sweating. And I still can't do the splits, but we're getting closer. Now, we haven't tried really. Today was the first day she actually said get into Hamananasa or whatever the splits are actually called. But it's cool, man. It's a cool practice. I'm excited about where that whole yoga journey is.
Have you heard about hot yoga?
Oh, yeah. Bikram.
Yeah, I've heard some people that do hot yoga. That just doesn't sound fun to me. I mean, you sweat away and you stand there like, I don't know. But
listen, if it was me in a sauna doing yoga, I would be cool with it. If it's me and 37 other sweaty bastards in a room, stinky. No.
Well, the guy that told me about it said he's the only guy in the room and they're all hot girls. So,
well, literally and figuratively, I would imagine. It probably does make it better. So yes, I would. All the yoga videos I've been watching is and make sure your boobs aren't in the way. I'm like, it's not going to be a problem. So how do we improve
this is engaging though, and that's our conversation today. That actually should have been your E word, by the way.
It was too obvious. You know me. I can't get into just the predictable. That's not my thing. and the entanglement was real.
Well, we really did have an entanglement, and so we're going to put this into right away, the video up, just so you guys can grab some engaging tips. And we apologize for not being able to go live. We're going to try it again now. Terry and I don't give up, and I won't give up on it because I do be live every single week, and I don't have issues. It's just, you know what? It's technology, and we have Terry to deal with too. So.
I just totally tarried it all up. It's how it goes.
But it would have echoed anyway on my end, so we both got a little bit of techie issues. So we're going to talk about engagement and how to engage your audience. One is, I'm going to start with number 1. When you're going to do a Facebook Live and you're going to pre-schedule and show up.
Like on time or just show up in general? Does it matter?
On time and show up.
Okay.
There you go. That's, especially if you're promoting it to all your stuff. Okay, I'm crying now.
There's a vacuum of people in the Ernie land that are going, where the hell is this Be Live we kept hearing about? Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure glad we didn't spend a bunch of money and all that on promoting it.
That's funny and true, right? Because that could have been a thing, right? You would have like, oh, you know what? I'll just boost this post. Even if I spent $5 on it, be like, I'll just throw that out the window.
Well, the one thing I will say though, you cannot promote a live until after the fact. I heard something about they were gonna now start allowing you to promote the live during. So once you went live, you can hit the boost to get to more people. That would be really cool. So
that's actually a really good use of money and funds and idea, and I'm surprised it's not more of a thing.
It would become more engaging because you'd reach more of your audience to tell that you're live. So that would be cool.
That's a good plan. I hope they do that.
I do too. So I heard from Mari Smith that they were, but it hasn't happened yet. So that's one way to be engaging. I guess we kind of started it off by doing a Facebook Live is one of the biggest ways to be engaging with your audience.
Absolutely. Especially if they jump in. Now, you and I both did this show for a while when it was live, right? We would go on air and we'd do it through a system called Blab. Rest in peace, Blab. And so whether you're doing Blab or Periscope or Facebook Live or YouTube Live or however you're streaming live, for me, the issue was always that silly little number, right? Oh, look, I only have 3 people watching this. Does it even make sense? But if you think about how we and how you engage with, call it television, right? You don't, even if your show's on at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, you might record 7 of them and watch 7 of them in a row on a Saturday, right? We time shift everything now. So to worry about the number of people that showed up at 10 a.m. on a Friday is kind of silly because those people are going to watch.
We probably had 100 there that we didn't show up for, but
like the single biggest audience of all time. Yeah, there's probably people crashing into trees right now. So depressed that there was not the engagement conversation happening.
We put a post up. Yes, we need to put a post up. But I do agree with you. And the stat is that 80% watch after the fact on a Facebook Live.
80%. That's huge.
So it's a pretty big number. You don't get a ton of engagement. I actually did a live yesterday. I was shocked because I even sent out ahead of time I'm building a messenger list. And I sent that out and I still didn't, I had 0, which I usually have a lot of people. I mean, probably, I wouldn't say a lot, but I had 5, 10, 15, like hop on and off. So I was kind of wondering, did something go wrong with this? Because it didn't do well and I'm not sure. So you've got to test the Facebook Live. I mean, we could do a whole conversation about the Facebook Live, but the more that do hop on, then it kind of starts the engagement happening, and then it hits that newsfeed algorithm, and then more engagement will happen, and more people will hop on, and so it's kind of that layering effect. But I mean, even Mari Smith tends to have, in big, I was on somebody else's, even Social Media Examiners, they have like anywhere between 10 and 100 people. I mean, it's not a huge number considering their size of their audience.
Right, and they're sending that out to like 600,000 people.
Exactly.
So that's a good point. And as far as talking about Facebook Livey stuff goes, if I'm not mistaken, it was episode 101 with Bonnie Frank, where we actually gave a bunch, or she gave a bunch, and we had a nice conversation about live streaming tips. So
yes.
You wanna go back and hear some talks on this? 101.
101. Awesome.
WKBD.
And the other thing I do want to mention, we will be streaming everything in a group. So if you're not a part of our group, we'd love you to be a part of the group. So I'm going to put that little thing in the beginning instead of at the end, that join our group, and it's just businessgrowthtime.xyz, and you'll find the Facebook group. So it's
.xyz. You know, I was looking up a web address yesterday because I thought I made up this really cool word, connectorium. Right, so we're building out a co-working space, like a collaboration space, and I was like, dude, we're calling it the Connectorium because that just sounds sweet. And I was like, hey, I think I made up a word. So I went to GoDaddy, and turns out someone owns Connectorium.com, and they would sell it to me for the low price of $6,995, which is very generous of them. I could get Connectorium.xyz for 99 cents. .xyz, that's where it's at, kids.
I bet Janet Johnson .xyz is available. Anyway, that's a whole nother, that one's 10 grand, but hence the E. So back to engagement. Yep. Want more engagement? We talked about Facebook Live. Honestly, if they were talking Facebook, that's probably your number one area. But let's talk about other engagement ideas.
You have a list. I actually spent 4 seconds and wrote down a list. So why don't you just read the list and we'll talk about each item on it.
All right. Fun. So want more engagement, be more engaged.
Yeah. So many of us are drive-by posters, right? Yep. Listen, there's a law of reciprocity that if you start paying attention to other people, they're going to go out of their way and start paying attention to you. So instead of worrying about what you're trying to get out, worry about what you're seeing in your feed, comment, and then post your stuff, right? So before you drop something, go comment on 5 different posts, then put your article out.
Gary Vee had a thing out there, one of his videos that said, it talks about how the quickest way to build your Instagram audience is exactly what you're talking about. You need to find who those people are. I mean, we could get into a whole Instagram thing with this, but finding like your target audience, let's say yours was Lewis House, for instance, and then you go see those followers. Are those the type of people? Follow the followers, follow, like, comment, and be real. Don't have a bot do it. Don't have it be fake. You need it to be real. And he suggests, what did he suggest? Something like crazy, like 50 to 100 a day you do that with. And
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And 50 to 100 a day sounds brutal, but 50 to 100 a day is maybe a half hour.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep.
Right? And everybody wants it built for them, and nobody wants to do the work. And this is the work.
There are softwares out there that do it, but that's, once again, the bot type thing. And, I'm sure there's people doing it, especially with Instagram. But bottom line is, if you're more authentic and engaging, it will come back to you.
I like it. And
it's tough. It's tough for a lot of companies. I mean, you and me are in this world, and so we get it. But I mean, like, I manage a lot of clients, and they don't even barely respond. So that would be another piece that I believe is on your list, is just like the responding. If somebody takes the time to comment on your post, or even on a Facebook Live, I go through and like everybody's comment and reply after the live, even if it's later. If they took the time for you, you should take the time back for them.
Absolutely. Right. That's that reciprocity piece. 100%. Got to do it. It's the work.
Exactly. It is. So your list on number 2, post stuff worthy of engaging.
What do you think that means, Janet E. Johnson?
First off, that would mean it's just, don't just put crap out there. I mean, put things that are worthy of engaging. I mean, if you're just putting, look at me, then people don't care. You need to do some of that, obviously, but if it's just all about you and you're not asking questions and not seeing what people want, then there's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing. What are they supposed to say?
That for me is so important, right? I always talk about it's got to be value add, right? You got to know what your network or what your group or what your followers are looking for, and share information that's relevant to them. And there's 4 or 5 categories to me. It's got to be informative, right? Give them something where they're going to learn, or educational. I don't care what you call it, inspirational or motivational, something that's going to give them that little kick in the butt. Humor is always a big one. Sometimes controversial, right? If you're conversating on current events and taking a strong stance, you'll
You
get
do that.
tons of
I don't.
engagement. Well, I have strong opinions. And I'm not afraid to defend them. So these are, those are ways that I think, if you're thinking about what can I share, but again, it's got to be on brand, relevant to you and your business, and platform appropriate.
Thank you. That's perfect. Exactly. Because right now, the motivational, inspirational is still really, really hot on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
On Facebook, it can work. I mean, I call that fillers, but it really does nothing anymore, hardly. It just can put stuff on and put content out there. But if you're talking a page, I mean, a personal profile, that's maybe a little different. But bottom line is it works really well on Instagram, some of those motivational type things. Now, inspirational and educating too, that can all be done in video too. Mm-hmm. And then, you could take that to LinkedIn, and it depends on what it is. But you're right. I like that you mentioned the platform based. You need to think of where you're posting it and if it's relevant for that type of audience.
It's not one size fits all, right? And that's why people that are using Buffer, Hootsuite, and just dumping their shit all at one time in every spot, you're not getting the results that you did 6 years ago, because it's not 6 years ago. It's
I agree. We even manage the accounts we manage. We do it through Spout Social, but we post separate. We don't just say, post to all those places. We do pre-schedule, but we post an Instagram post with the certain hashtags. It's totally different. We don't do that same thing to Facebook. Even if it's the same graphic, we will put different types of wording, it's different on each platform. Yeah.
And I still am guilty of posting something on Instagram and sharing it to Facebook. And I'm like at 50% right now. Normally I'm like, man, I want to share this and I want to share it the same way, but to have 12 hashtags show up on Facebook doesn't look right.
No, I have clients that insist on doing that, and I just tell them, I go, just make sure, I would hop in then to your Facebook and go delete all those hashtags, because it's just not hashtag friendly. I have some clients that still really put hashtags everywhere, and I'll go in and clean it up, and it's more work than it's worth. But it's just, two different things. You can do a couple hashtags on Facebook and see if it does anything, but putting 12, 20, it looks dumb. Yep. All right. So let's talk the next one. Space out your responses so your posts stay top of feed. That's a good one.
So it's, what, I've been doing this on LinkedIn and making sure that it works. Right. And it
works on Facebook, I know too.
And it's crushing it. Right. So I'm getting, we did a video, probably 98 or so, episode 98, where we talked about the power of LinkedIn video and how well those videos are doing. I saw a little bit of a dip, right? There were a couple that I was getting 3,000-4,000 views. Now I'm only getting like 1,500 to 2,000 views. But in order to keep jumping those numbers, I'll go in and I'll respond to one comment at a time every 4 to 6 hours, right? And then I'll respond to some of them the next day. And so it just keeps populating. All of a sudden you get a couple more likes, you get a couple more comments, and you can keep it in perpetuity is a big word that I don't know what it means.
Interesting. So now backing it up though, the other side of it is that's a lot of views compared to Facebook or Instagram. I mean, you can't get that kind of viewership unless you have a fantastic video. Unless it's like one of those viral type videos, you're not going to get that kind of. And then on top of it, you're doing, you got to pay for it. You're doing a strategy behind it that keeps feeding the fuel, basically, of the LinkedIn algorithm. So they must have, I'm sure they have some sort of algorithm going on too, obviously, if you're commenting later. And the same type of thing will work on Facebook too. It even works years later. I mean, think about a memory post. You did this with somebody, you were just saying. You commented, and then what happened was they got a whole bunch more comments, and it was an old post.
That's exactly, yeah, yesterday.
It revives it.
Yeah, so I saw a post from Brenda Miller from 2 years ago. I just happened to read it because I was looking at her profile, and I just wrote, "I'm so glad I saw this again." And then it got 20 new likes and 7 more comments, and that was in the first couple of hours, right? It was just ridiculous. So and that's
an old post, yeah.
And that's which is another one of the tips that's coming up. Right? If you can go back and jump into old conversations, if you have memories. Not everybody has memories, Janet E. Johnson. I don't know if you know this.
I do. I got them. I finally.
You have memories?
Like 2 years later.
I can't believe we didn't do a whole show about you finally getting memories.
That was my biggest pet peeve ever. So.
I must have forgot that you had them. That must be it.
There was so many people picking on me about that. Finally. All right. So we could do a whole show about that too. All right. Spacing out the responses. That's a really, really good tip. Create mutual admiration societies. He put that all in one word, so I was really lost there.
Sorry, yeah, it's a hashtag, right? Mutual admiration societies. Actually, Daphne Mickelson, who we had on this show way back in the day, probably episode 4, right? Who is now a state Congress person for the state of Colorado and did the 50 and 52 journey where she traveled to every single state in 1 year interviewing leaders. She was the first person that I had a mutual admiration society with, right? So you get a handful of people and you just share each other's posts, or you comment on each other's posts, or you like each other's posts, and you get 6 or 7 people doing that on the majority of your content. It increases the reach.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, that's, you know what that reminds me of a little bit is the Instagram pods. Do you know what that is?
I don't know. It's not the kind you eat, right? That's not what the kids are eating. Oh, those are Tide Pods. My bad.
So Instagram pods are the same exact thing you just talked about, where people, if you did a post, you'd be a part of a pod, and then they'd all like and comment on that pod, and then, Facebook's putting a major crackdown on those and shutting down. So you got to be careful with how you do it. I think how you talked about it, just have a few of your friends. Like, I mean, Terry and I, obviously, we do this a lot for each other anyway, but, have a few people that makes sense to comment and like on their stuff. But I wouldn't go too deep as creating a pod and a group about, you know what I mean? Because they are shutting that down right now. And there's hundreds of thousands of them, and it's specific to Instagram.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Instagram
pod. So that was real recent that they're trying. It makes sense, but just be careful on how you use it, I guess.
Smart.
All right. We are getting close on time. Understand what your audience wants. So what does your audience, obviously talk to the right people, speak to them the right way. Yes.
And a lot of us didn't really do a good job of curating our audience in the beginning, right? We accepted people. When I was speaking a lot in 2010, 2011, people would invite me to be friends on Facebook. And before that, I had a real strict policy. If I don't know you or can't tell a story about you, you're not a Facebook friend. You can be on my page, you can be on LinkedIn, you can follow me on Twitter, whatever. But then when you're out all the time, you start feeling jerky and you're like, all right, I'll accept you. Okay, I'll accept you. And then all of a sudden you accept a bunch of people. And now it's like, why? Now I'm looking at feeds of people I don't care about. And I know you went through a similar thing where there was a bunch of people waiting to be in the network that you, didn't allow into the network. We'll just call it that. Delete.
Well, you know what? You got to be it's if it's your audience, you got to stay focused on your audience, you know. And some people are really niched, and you really need to stay honed in on who they are and talk to them. And now, granted, you might have a few different mixes of audiences, so you might be talking to different people at times, but the more you can understand what they want, it makes sense.
Lovely.
Be consistent and persistent. Yeah. I mean, the consistency, you got to, we, for instance, I do a Facebook Live every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. I'm looking to actually move that to every other, you got to figure out your time, but it's all about consistency and just staying consistent, and getting in front of them over and over. It's interesting because I just did a call yesterday, the persistence, all about how you just need to always have that funnel going of ads in front of the audience that has gone to your website, has watched your videos, has your email list, the people that are your fans. You want to consistently go in front of them again and again and again, because it sometimes can take up to 7+ times before they would convert to a sale. So it's that consistency and persistency.
Couldn't agree more, right? Just keep doing it and figure out how to make it easy, right? I talk about a content frequency matrix. You have whatever you call the actual schedule that you put together, right? If you're thinking about it, go grab a bunch of memes or informational and educational and motivational and inspirational and all the other ationals that we can come up with, put them in a folder. So you don't have to really think about what's coming next. You've got a selection. At 10 a.m. you got to post something, right?
Yeah.
Just make it easy. Build systems around sharing content, right? And then, like Janet said, hop on a video, whether it's live or, I stopped doing live because I record it on my phone because I want to send that video to LinkedIn. I want to send that video to Facebook. And if I ever get around to making one that's under a minute, I'll send it to Instagram. That's not really my specialty, the whole under a minute thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can handle it, but you can't. Yeah.
No, I can't. Just talk. Oh, okay. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nope. I think you're exactly on it. And, let's put in a little pitch for my Social Strategies 101.
Yay, you girl, go.
There you go. Social Strategies 101 teaches all about how to build that content calendar, and I have all these methods in there too. So that is part of my training program.
Bam, look at that. Plug.
Well, it just made me think. I'm like, I got the whole content calendar thing.
That's number 7 in 106 shows. We're really on it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Social Strategies 101, and then my community always talks about all this type of thing. Recycled content that got good engagement. I love that. That is something that Dennis Yu talks about over and over and over again. And this is something that you could go back a year. So let's say Christmas, you had a great holiday season, something worked last year, and you're looking at your content calendar of what are we going to do this Christmas? Go back. What did you do last year that worked? Is it something that you could repurpose and reuse? And you can reuse content. I mean, that's the problem. I think a lot of us think we always have to have brand new content out there. And then it's like so overwhelming. Well, what worked? I mean, and if it's evergreen and you can use it a year, 2 years later, use it again.
Talk about the amount of people that actually see a post, right? The percentage of your audience. It's shitty, right? It's staggeringly low. But do you know what the actual number is? Because I hear it's anywhere from 8 to 18% on Facebook.
Facebook, it's like 4% or less.
So just because you put it out there doesn't mean that everybody saw it. That conversation I have with people, hey, did you see my post on such and such the other day? Yeah, no.
No. It's way less. My audience is 10,000. That would mean 400 people see each post.
Yeah.
It's way less if I haven't boosted or done a live or something like that. It's like I've had it as low as 15 people.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
0.001%.
Yeah. So anyway, the point being, don't get hung up on the idea that people have already seen it. They haven't.
Nope. The other thing I will talk about is that how Dennis Yu talks about it, and I do this with a lot of my clients. You have a great video you take all this time to create, something that you see the engagement worked really well on. Well, you can take and boost that to a new audience that you think is your target market. And then when you feel that audience is worn out, then you can switch audiences and use that same piece of content to another audience, and then to another audience, and then to another audience. And you can continuously build upon that while getting the engagement on that video or on that post or whatever it may be. You're getting lots of likes, shares, comments, and that's how you see these videos go viral, is by you're switching up audiences all the time. So
that's smart.
A little,
that's very
tip
smart
to get more engagement, but that's a paid strategy.
Cool.
And last one, and then we got to run because I got a meeting. Post at a variety of times until you know when your folks are online. Well, looking at stats too. I mean, do you guys use Facebook Insights? Do you look at the Facebook Insights? Instagram now, if you have I don't know how LinkedIn works, you could probably tell us. Instagram, if you have a business account, you can look at the insights, and they tell you when the most engaging times were. I use Sprout Social too, so that does also have a reporting system that tells you when the people are on. Look at your insights though.
LinkedIn only shows you the companies that they came from and the market that
so they don't give you any. Okay, interesting.
They don't talk about it much, but you can tell based on, like, I posted a video yesterday that has 400 and some views, and I posted one 3 days ago that has like 2,000 views. And quite frankly, the one with 400 views has more likes per view by like a 3-to-1 ratio. So it's interesting to see what takes off and what doesn't. But it was really focused on a specific issue that not everybody has. So
okay.
So if you're making something general, it's going to attract more people to some extent.
You're going to learn. Yeah, you're going to learn over time what the best times are for you to post, and then, start moving your posts that direction. Awesome. Well, this was a lot of engaging content. If you guys got something out of this and you've listened to our podcast before, be sure to subscribe, and we would love to have you do a review for us. Write us a review. Just tell us a little bit what you took away, what you got out of any of our podcast episodes. We'd love to hear from you. And you can find that at businessgrowthtime.com/podcast is where you can get to the iTunes part of it. And then all of our past ones are /blog. So you can see all the past episodes. Thank you guys, and join our group. It's .xyz, easy enough, businessgrowthtime.xyz. And thank you for joining us.